Welcome to our December 22nd Competitive Edge Series featuring Margaret Spence, nationally renowned keynote with NAR and Sherm and Jim Sherm. And so with that, I'm going to throw it back at you. Margaret, you have the floor.
Okay, great. Can everybody hear me okay with the wave? We're all good? Everybody's good? You can all hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you, Mike, for inviting me. I think we've tried to do this a couple times and we haven't been able to, so today's a wonderful day. Worked out fine. I want to try to make this as interactive as possible, so if you have questions, post them in the chat. I'm going to post some questions in the chat. I wrote some questions out. I'll post them into the chat as I'm going through the process with everybody. I have a handful of questions, and I think my goal today is to make us think about our career and where we want that career to go. So I'll give you one of the challenges that I see. I was at a meeting last week. I actually went to the HRBC party, and I met a couple people there in transition. And one of the ladies that I met, I said to her, so what is the job that you're looking for? What would your ideal job look like? And she says, well, I'm a HR generalist. And I thought, okay, that is not telling me anything about where you want to go. It's not telling me anything about what you want to become. It really doesn't give me, as a person talking to you, an idea of, you know, who do I know that I could connect you with? And if I know that person, what is it that I would say to them about you that's going to make them want to think about you in that position? The day and age of us being vague about what we want doesn't exist anymore. If you want it, you've got to be able to articulate it. You have to be able to say it. You have to feel it. And you have to be able to feel comfortable that you have earned that position. Because one of the things that being out of work for a length of time does to you is that it takes away your confidence to feel that you're worthy of the position that you're asking for. So one of the things that I want to start off by saying is, if you had your ideal career choice, what would that, if you had an opportunity to pick your ideal job, what would that job look like? Okay, I'll give you an example. I have a young lady that I'm mentoring, and she's a nurse, and she it was an LPN. She went back to school and she got her RN degree. So she's now a graduated RN, and she's out there looking for a job. So she says to me, I want to work on the telemetry unit of the hospital. And I said, okay, what does it require to work in the telemetry unit of that hospital? And she says, well, I don't know. I'm just going to send her, and they're looking for nurses. Nurses is great. And she put together this resume, and she sent it to me before she sent it off to the places it was going. And I said, hold up. Nothing in this resume tells me that you're prepared for that job. One of the things that drives me crazy about the new hiring process is the fact that 99% of employers are using the online hire process, meaning you go online, you fill out an application, and your application falls into the black hole of internet, the internet black hole. And it never rises to the top because the words that the HR person put in to hire you is not the ones that are on your resume. So there's no match. Your resume never flies out of that box. So you're never in front of anybody. The algorithms that are written for those searches makes you disappear. So in order for you to get your ideal job, you have to be clear. And if you can't land your ideal job, you have to have a backup plan to continue to earn income. And that backup plan could be being a consultant in the interim, going off and taking your skills and transfer them into something else. But no longer can we sit around saying, if I can't get the director of HR position, I can't do anything else. We have to be able to think out of the box. So one of the things that I said to this one particular young lady that I'm mentoring is, if you had a choice of your ideal job or your ideal situation, what would that look like? Can you write it down? Can you articulate it? Are you okay? Grab some water.
Sorry.
That's fine, no problem. Can you articulate it? Can you write it down? Who occupies that job right now? Who is in that job, and who's occupying it? So if I want to be the HR director for Baptist Hospital, who is in that job, and what does their experience look like in comparison to mine? How does it stack up? What are the key requirements, and how does my resume stack up? Do I have a clear path from where I am right now to that position? And if you don't, what are you going to do to help yourself make that clear path, the dotted line to that position? And what is that going to look like? So what I'm saying is, as 2015 approaches, and I don't know, by a wave, are all of you in transition right now? Everybody's in transition? Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
Is that a yes? A third yes? Amy, you're in transition as well with a wave? You're not in transition.
I don't know if Amy's screen is sound, but I think all of us, including myself, are looking for interviews in the middle of an HR conversation.
Okay, so, all right. So here I am. I'm cleaning the slate. I'm letting go of everything that didn't happen for me in 2014, and I'm going into 2015. The first thing I'm going to do is look around and see what jobs got filled in 2014. What jobs got filled? And then I'm going to narrow down my search to see what the marketplace is bearing. Okay, is the marketplace bearing where I am qualified to do this job, and I now can articulate the job description? So that's number one. The second thing is, what do you know for sure? The question is, what do you know for sure about your career? Okay. I know that's like a weird question to ask you, but what do you know for sure about your career? Are you on the right path? Are you living the career path that you want? Or while you're in transition, is this a good opportunity to reevaluate your path and what you want out of it? Okay, so what do you want from that career path? I want to become a director, or I want to become a VP, I want to become, XYZ. So I think if you're in transition, it is a perfect time and a perfect opportunity for you to evaluate what is going to make you happy in your career path, and looking at what you know for sure about your career. So I'll give you an example. I've been running my own consulting company for 15 years. I'm a workers' comp consultant, I do risk management, and I do HR as a combination. But what I know for sure about my career right now is that those three things don't always fulfill what I want to do with the rest of my career. I want to go into something that's going to make me intensely happy from here forward. So if I'm in transition, it's a perfect time to look at what is going to make me happy. Because at the end of the day, when you make the choice to go into the next job, it has to be a place that you want to be, and it's going to have to be the place that fulfills you as a complete circle. So if you were an HR director before, what parts of that job didn't you like? What did you hate about that job you had before? And what did you like about the job that you had before? The things that you like need to be the things that you look for in your next job. Okay? You shouldn't be going from transition to the first thing available unless you're financially underwater. And even if you take the first thing that's available, you should not stop looking for the job that's going to make you happy. Because in this day and age, your career has little to do with the salary and the title. It has everything to do with what's going to make you happy every day. Okay, so think of the transition period and the time that you're in right now as an opportunity for you to evaluate your entire career path. And when you're evaluating that career path, you should be able to clearly articulate what that's going to look like. For me, as a business owner, I'm saying I want to do more mentorship. I want to do more career stuff. I want to do more career coaching. Does that fit into the stuff I'm doing now with my client base? No. Can I make the switch immediately? No, I can't, because I've already got an established client base. But for me, I'm looking at what's making me happy, what's going to fulfill me, what's going to make me want to get up and go to this job every day, and what's going to give me the highest level of contribution that I could say I'm contributing the most to my organization, or I'm contributing the most to myself. Because you know what? The fact that the company lets you go means that you need to start thinking about yourself. And a lot of times I hear people saying, you know, I'm the director, I'm the this, I'm the that, I'm an HR person. And you wrap your whole life around being that HR person, and you miss the opportunity to live the life that you really want to live, because you're so caught up in the title of the job, and you're not really focused on what it is that you want for the next chapter of your career. So I want everybody to start asking yourself, and take the sheets of paper down as you're evaluating your 2014. What did I do in the job I had before that I truly liked? What did I do that I truly hated? What fulfilled me about that company? Why I liked being there? Okay, and what does the ideal company need to look like for me? Because I think oftentimes when we're desperate to find a job, we don't look at whether the job fits us or whether we are a right fit for that job, because we really want a job and we're not really evaluating the fit. Does that company fit with my culture, fit with where I want to go with my career, or am I going to go there to die on the vine? It's a key question. Okay? Am I going to go there to die on the vine? Because if I'm going to go there to die on the vine, maybe unemployment is not such a bad thing. We are very, and as women, and I know, Mike, I'm sorry, I know you're the guy on the call, but as women and women in HR, we tend to want to feel warm and fuzzy and happy about what we're doing. And we want to give constantly, but we forget that we have to definitely give to ourselves as we're giving to the organization. So the key takeaway here is self first, organization second. Okay, so the other question that I want you to ask yourself is, what's going to be my path to success? What is it going to take for me to successfully find my next opportunity? What is success going to look like for me? And success should not be a job description or job title. Success needs to be more intrinsic and a little bit deeper, and a little bit more focused. And success needs to be more strategic. Success also needs to be coupled with contribution. So when you get into that interview, if you can articulate what success is going to look like for you, you can also articulate what the success is that you're going to bring to the organization. Because you're very clear in your head what your success is going to look like, and you're going to become equally as clear about the success that you're going to bring to the company. So when the person is interviewing you, or you are interviewing them to make sure that this is the right fit for you, you can easily say to them, I've evaluated what success is going to look like for me. So envision this interview where you say to the interviewer, I've evaluated what success is going to look like for me. And success in this position is going to look the following way. It's going to mean that I'm utilizing 80 to 90% of my skill set that I've already learned. That I have the opportunity to make an impact on your organization. That I have the opportunity to grow, and I'm not going to be stuck in a desk. It means that I'm going to be able to come in, and within 90 days, I'm going to evaluate the issues within this organization against my competencies. And I'm going to be able to present to you the competencies that I think this organization should have. That's a clear success message. If I'm sitting in an interview and I hear you say that to me, I'm going to be blown out of the water. Because you've taken what success means for you, you've added it to what success means for the organization, you've brought it together as one success message, and you've articulated to the organization or the person interviewing you how your values mesh with their values and how you see yourself in that position, you see yourself in that role. That's a different kind of discussion. But if you're not clear on what success looks like for you, you cannot have that discussion with anybody else. Okay?
Question.
Yes.
So when we interview with a particular organization, they know that particular company, what they need done.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always thought, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that we need to know what their expectations are and what their requirements are. And as a particular leader, or either a member of senior management, it will take between 60 and 90 days just to get a feel and the lay of the land, if you will, and how the communication between different departments or different services work before we as an HR leader can then make specific recommendations or implement change. It takes about 60 to 90 days.
Right. I understand.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense. It makes total sense. But what I'm saying to you is this. What I'm finding as I'm out there doing my consulting side, and as we are interviewing and my clients are interviewing people, the continuum of the 90-day evaluation, people don't have time for it anymore. They want to know that you've done your homework coming in the door.
Right.
And that you have done so much ground game on that company that you know some of the challenges they have, whether they want to say them to you or not. But you're going into that interview armed with questions that's going to give you the answers you need
right
to their issues, and then you're going to add your success factor to that issue so that the person walking out the door is going to say, I see how this HR director is going to be different from the one we had before. Okay.
Is it too vague? I mean, I myself, for example, feed off of, and I am thrilled with the specific mission, vision, and values of a particular organization. Tie in and perpetuate that mission, vision, and values, and contribute from whether it be recruitment or retention, employee relations, and tie it in so that every person in that organization feels that what they do makes a difference in that mission, vision, and values. Is that too vague?
It's too vague.
It is too vague.
It's too vague. It's too vague. So let me give you an example.
Thank you for telling me that. I appreciate that.
No, it is too vague, because what people are looking for now is that you have specifics. I'll give you an example. My son was interviewing with one of the largest restaurant chains to be a lobbyist for them. Okay, and I was prepping him. He was a lobbyist with a law firm, and he left the law firm earlier this summer, and he started interviewing with other people. And one of the things that when he got the particular interview, I said to him, okay, the interview is 2 weeks away. I need you to do your complete ground game. What are the issues for that organization? What can you find out on the internet, if it's publicly traded, if it's, what can you find out? What can you find out about them that they don't think you can find out? Okay. One of the great things that I absolutely love is that website where employees are able to put stuff about the company onto.
Glassdoor.
Glassdoor.
Yes.
I don't remember the name. He went to Glassdoor. He did some Google searches. He looked at some issues that they had. He wrote up a bunch of things. He had a little portfolio. When he got to the interview, he had created a portfolio of their issues and topics. So he had put himself into the position by asking those. He asked the questions during the interview to figure out if he was on the right track to the stuff he had done in his reconnaissance work. The guy said, nobody asked these questions. How did you figure all this stuff out? Well, if your employees are complaining about you and you're in HR and they're on Glassdoor complaining about you, it's a great place to start to know what the issues are within the company. If the EEOC's knocked on their door 1,000 times and you go to the EEOC press release website and you see that they've had some issues, it's a great place to go. I'll give you a better example. I was speaking at the SHRM conference in June, and I was doing my presentation, and I said, if you want to know how to do compliance better, go to the EEOC website and look and see who's having the most issues. And the 4 companies that come to mind is AutoZone, UPS, and I went down all of them. And I had no idea that they were actually in the audience.
Well,
okay, but I had done my homework, and I said, these companies have compliance issues. So if I'm a compliance person, that's going to be one of the companies that I send my resume to first. I'm going to connect with anybody there. I'm going to find that person. I'm going to say, I saw your issues. I know them because I looked them up. And I know that you're having these issues. And these are the solutions that I'm going to bring to the table. The internet is a wonderful place for finding stuff out. And we can connect with people who may have been there. We could look to see who was there before us by LinkedIn. We could do a lot of little reconnaissance work. There's an HR position in Broward with a particular company who shall remain nameless. They've had 5 HR people in there this year.
This year? Wow.
Okay, this year. They happen to be a company on my watch list. Okay. And I'm saying to myself, if I'm the HR person applying for that job and I know that I'm going to be number 6, boy, that would be a 5-hour interview. Because there's something wrong why you continue to have a revolving door of HR people. Okay? So those are just some of the minute little things that I think we have to do when we're looking at the position. When we're looking at how do we want to frame our messaging, and the key is how do we want to frame our messaging, is looking at who currently occupies the job and who occupied it before you got it. It's interesting to do that. Do that homework. LinkedIn has a lot of, if the person in the position was even minutely technically savvy, they've been on LinkedIn, they've posted their stuff up there. You could go look at their background, look at the things that they had that made them the right fit for that job, and then look at where they went when they left there. That's another good thing. Where did they go?
Mm-hmm.
Did they go up? Did they go lateral? Or did they go down? That's a very telling thing about when you're applying for a position. If the person went up, you know that the position prepared them to move up. If they went down, their position didn't prepare them. They didn't have the right skill set to occupy the current position they were in, and their skill set wasn't right, and they took a lateral move backwards. Okay? They may take a temporary lateral move backwards, but they're not going to take a permanent one backward. Nobody's going to go, triangulating back to being a, HR generalist with zero experience. So what I'm saying to you is, do your homework about the position before you apply, and then make your cover letter very succinct to what your success in the job is going to look like. Okay. How many of you have heard of a website called Fiverr? F-I-V-V-E-R. Fiverr? You heard of Fiverr? Okay. Fiverr, I think it's two V's. It's either two V's or two R's. I'm not sure, but it's.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, if you look it up. And I'll find it and I'll post it back here. There's a lady there that does phenomenal cover letters. If you give her the job you're applying for, she's phenomenal at writing you a cover letter that has all the keywords for the job. She charges $5 to do it. And everybody that I've sent her to have just applied for a job. They've popped up to where they've gotten at least an interview, because she's figured out a way around the algorithms that are being written into the process to get you in the door. So that's another key tip. And when you and let me say this, when you take a job as an HR person, no matter where you take it, and you're listing positions, do me a favor, and this is my asking of you, that when you do get back into the desk, that when you use the ultimate softwares and the other things that you're using to screen your applications, that you ultimately look at every single application, whether or not the computer selected the person or not. Because I think because we're so used to doing computerized, the computerized application process, we're missing a lot of people who have phenomenal experience because the algorithms don't pick them out of the pile, and they don't get an opportunity to raise their hand and say, hi, I'm here. Okay, so that is my request for you. If I asked you today what your ideal job would look like, what would you be saying to me? And if you're not muted, tell me what your ideal job is.
Anybody going?
Francine, you want to go first since you're up first? What is your ideal job?
My ideal job would be a human resources director in a nonprofit healthcare organization where I would be responsible for the entire employment process, benefits administration, coaching, employee relations, policy, and procedure administration.
Okay, so let me back up a second. Let me back up a tiny bit. You said HR director, nonprofit, right? HR director, nonprofit, healthcare, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you're in Palm Beach County?
I am. Southern Palm Beach County.
All right. How many of those companies exist in Palm Beach County?
I don't know. I should.
Very good. Okay.
I don't know how many healthcare or nonprofit, but it's
Okay, so when you articulate your position, okay, and I'm not picking on you, so don't take this the wrong way at all. So
I won't. I'm
okay.
taking this as a learning experience, and thank
Right.
you very much.
Okay, so if you narrow your scope down, you should be able to tell me the top 20 companies in Palm Beach County that fits your ideal job, where they are, who they are, who's currently in that job, and who may have an opening. So if I'm the 69-year-old HR director for the YMCA of Palm Beach County, and I'm about to retire, that's a job that I probably want to go after, even though she may not have posted that job. How are you going to know that? You're going to look at the person's time in the job. You're going to look at a different thing. You're going to connect with people that you know in HR. Do you know anything about that organization? You're going to go onto LinkedIn. You're going to do your reconnaissance work. You're going to become a detective of your own career. So that's a key takeaway, a detective of your own career. Because what I'm saying to you is, I think in Palm Beach County, you've narrowed yourself so narrowly that you're probably only going to have 20 possible positions, and maybe none of them have come open in the last 5 years.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now, what's interesting, just basically, and I don't know how anyone else feels also, you know, if I, for example, myself have experience in nonprofit, then to me, whether it's healthcare or not, I just feel my strengths working in that would lend itself to be a little bit more attractive to the particular employer.
Right.
If I've worked in healthcare and have hired from critical care nurses to management to a certified nursing assistant or a risk manager, if you would, then whether it's in a for-profit or a profit, then I would still be interested in something on that order.
Exactly. So what you're going to do is create a vertical. And what a vertical is you take your ideal position and you put it in the top box. Think of it as making a organizational tree.
Okay.
Okay? So you put your ideal position in the top box, and then you put little branches off of that ideal position.
Okay.
And you take your current experience in industries and you drop it into those boxes off of that, like a decision tree. So the top one would be HR, nonprofit, healthcare. But you look at your resume and you say, well, I've had experience in the nursing home sector. I've had experience in the hospital sector. I've had experience in the assisted living sector. You see what I'm saying? Yes. So now you're dropping your sectors in below it, and then below that you put what jobs have either become available recently or what jobs are available in each one of those subsectors that still meets your top line, your top bottom line HR director, but you're now getting industry specific in your decision tree underneath. So think of a chart, top, this is my ideal job, and then the branches off of that being your, you know, your sectors that you're looking for. Okay, and then now you can hone your focus, and when you're searching for the job, you're honing your focus, you're searching for the specific job. You may say, you know what, let me try to get a list of nursing homes in Palm Beach County that have 250 or more employees, let's say. And I'm going to just cold call, mail my resume, good old-fashioned stamp that we don't do anymore, and send it to the person who's now in charge, the administrator of that place, as a cold call. Okay? Because now I'm doing a ground game to try to find my next job. I'm not waiting for it to get posted on Monster or anywhere else. I've identified the industry I want to work in, and I'm going to do some cold calling, meaning I'm going to just, you know, copy 20 of my resumes, put it on the outside, attention administrator, and then I'm going to make a follow-up call to them saying, hi, I sent in my resume to you. I just want to see if you have a position available or you have one coming available. Now, that person may very well take your resume and sock it into the round circle file, but the odds are you've now created a unique value proposition, and the company, that organization may very well say, oh, wow, this is the person we're looking for. We haven't yet posted the job. But by narrowing your industries, knowing what you want, narrowing your industries, matching your resume to it, you now have a game plan to land your next job in the next 60 days. It's a ground game. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Amy, did you have a question? I know Mike has you muted.
I can unmute her. Here we go. Unmute Amy. Go ahead.
Hey, Amy.
Hi.
What is your ideal job?
Well, it's really interesting. When you were talking, I kept thinking, I came from a very large company. I came from a Fortune 50 company.
Right.
And I started thinking when you...
Okay, I didn't.
In the very beginning of the position, I only supported a very small group, and so I think that's something that I really have to start looking at and reevaluating whether, that large group that I was supporting, whether that's something that I really want to do, or whether I want to focus back on a very small group. Mm-hmm. And I know that I was doing 50% travel, and I know I don't want to do that anymore. Mm-hmm. So it's very interesting. I mean, you had a lot of very thought-provoking questions that, mm-hmm. quite honestly, I have to say that I wasn't really thinking of. I was more thinking of, I have to find a job, let me apply for that one. I've done that kind of work, I've done that, and I didn't really focus on what was going to make me happy. So it's really, you asked some really great questions that I think I really need to think about.
Right, absolutely. And again, the same thing that I said to Francine is pretty simple. Just take your original job and dissect it. Mm-hmm. Dissect it down to, very specific. These are the things I did. Cross out the ones you hated. These are the ones I like. What job out there fits this? And then what's the industries that I want to focus on, and get this really ironed out so that you're not just applying, that you're strategically applying, which gives you a better opportunity to be interviewed. It gives you a better opportunity to be selected. It gives you it gives you a better opportunity to do a bunch of stuff that is going to be beneficial to you. So you're really targeting what you're doing. Does that make sense? We can, yeah. Janet, what is your ideal job, Janet?
My ideal job is working for an organization that is just recognizing the value of HR. Small startups, mid-sized companies. My experience is going in kind of at the 50 employee and growing fast mark.
Okay.
Where I can help develop the culture, put the policies and processes in place, and be part of a successful company growth. That gets me up in the morning.
Okay. So I think, if you're looking in the 50 to 100 space or somewhere in that vicinity, just do some searches on the internet. There are company lists that are out there. There's other places to find out information about the company. It'll give you a good idea of who's here that fits that bill. And then you're looking for, this is the job I want, same thing, and this is what I'm going to contribute. And again, for each one of you, you've got to lead off, pretty clearly. Once you land that interview, this is what success is going to look like for me in this organization. This is what it's going to look like. You know, what I'm contributing to you is my knowledge that I've had before. Okay, embrace your knowledge before, because I think what happens a lot of times is that we minimize our knowledge. I'll give you another example. I was working with someone called me and last week and said, there's a gentleman that just relocated here from New York. He owned his own insurance agency for 28 years, and he's getting ready to apply for a job with one of the major insurance agencies down here, and he's wanting to get a connection inside of that agency while he does his application. So I said, great. So he sent me his resume, and I about hit the ground. Because when I got the resume, it looked like he was out of a kindergarten class. I mean, literally, it had no accomplishments. It had no achievements. It didn't show what he had done progressively for that for his own company for 28 years. And it wouldn't have made me pick up the phone and hire him. So I sent him a blank sheet, and I said, I want you to answer 3 questions. What is your greatest success? In every job you've had before, what was your greatest success? What was the biggest financial contribution that you made to the organization? Okay. What is the most challenging thing you managed while you were working for that company? And how did you make it all come together? Because one of the things that I see is that when people are not working, we forget our contribution and we forget our achievement. And our resumes are void of achievement, and our resumes are loaded with the bullet points of what we've done in this general aspect, and it's not very focused on, I took an organization that had no policies and procedures, was out of compliance, had EEOC issues. I brought them into compliance in 120 days. So you need almost an executive summary at the front of your bullet points. Page 1 needs to be the executive summary that's going to make that company think, boy, these are our same issues. If she could do that for them, she could do that for me. Okay. And that executive summary is a bullet point of stuff that you pull on and off. So I have what I call a slide deck. When I'm going to go give a presentation, I have a slide deck that I pick from. There are 300 slides in there. Am I going to use all 300 every time I go to do a presentation? No. I'm going to pick out 60 because that fits my audience. So it's the same thing. You create a slide deck of your achievements, and then you've got them ready based on the job you're applying for. So if you're applying for a job and they're saying XYZ, I'm going to pull from my deck of slides that I've already achieved. It fits this job. It may not fit the one I'm going to apply for next week, but it fits this job. So that executive summary page is always rotating. I spoke a week, 3 weeks ago at HR Sarasota, and I said to one of the ladies at that group, I said, if you want an executive position, your resume better look like an executive. Meaning you need to go to Office Depot, you need to get a black backing, a clear cover, a letter inserted. It needs to be coil bind, not coil bind, but metal coil bound. It needs to look like you're the executive that you want to be. So when you show up for the interview, you look like you're an executive. You don't go in there with the paper stapled on the side if you want the executive position.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's the same thing I'm saying to you. If you want that extra position, you've got to do all the homework you can. You've got to be clear about what you want. And then you've got to have your slide deck of your achievement that you're embracing. And you're using that every time you apply for that job. Because now you're fitting yourself to the job and the job is fitting to you. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So this was fun. Mike? Mike is busy like typing away.
I'm here. If I have a chance to throw out there, Margaret talked about creating a list of, like in Fran's case, those nonprofit healthcare employers, 20 of them in a particular radius. I can help you with that. It will cost you $0, but you will have to call me and just tell me what you're looking for, and I could literally do it on a 5 or 10 minute conversation and email it to you before we hang up. And so use me for that. I want to welcome people on this call and maybe anybody else who might be listening to take me up on that. It's amazing how many people don't. So keep that in mind.
Right.
Thank you.
It's good for you to know, if you're narrowing your marketplace and you've articulated, as Fran did, you've articulated HR director nonprofit healthcare. Well, if there are only 20 of them in town, and the people who've occupied the job have been there for 50 years, you're not getting that job. You know what I'm saying? So that now means that you need to broaden it. It's the same concept of if you're working for a Fortune 50, as Amy was saying, a lot of my clients are Fortune 100s. I have a handful of clients. They're very needy folks. You're in that needy category. The bigger the company, the more they need. Even if you're a division HR person, what is the evolution in that space? So that's one of the questions for you to think about. What's the evolution in the HR Fortune 500 space? Is it consolidation? Is it regionalization? Is it state specific? Or am I going to be, as you said, flying around on a plane all over the country every day because they've given me the territory that involves all 50 states? And does that allow me to lead a quality life that I want to lead? Or do I need to say within that Fortune 500, I'm looking for a regional director HR position that's regionally targeted to the following 5 states because I can zip up and down the East Coast pretty easily.
Right.
So I've narrowed my square down to just that area. I've not opened it up to the entire planet. Another thing is for you, Amy, is looking at companies that their home office is here in Florida, but their presence is across the country. That's the reverse. So you're always home, but you're responsible for a territory of offices. That's a reverse engineering of the job hunt. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, this was a lot of fun. We must do it again.
Thank you.
Yes, let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, and please update me. Send me stuff on Google+. Let me actually put in my email in here.
And as Margaret's typing in her email, I would like to tell you guys a little bit about what's going on in January. And first and foremost, Margaret's coming back on January the 26th to do kind of a part 2, if you will, of this particular series entitled From Employee to CEO. And very, very gracious that Margaret's doing this, putting up with me twice in a 2-month window is really a rare opportunity. So I want everybody to take us up on that. If you happen to dial in, please feel comfortable doing that. We also have John H. Williamson, who's a Greater Miami board director or leader on the Miami chapter for HR. He's going to be hosting or presenting on the 12th of January. And then in between Margaret's workshop on the 26th and John, we have Pamela Toussaint, who will be jumping in on January the 19th. So Pamela loves to talk about professional branding and differentiating yourself. John loves to talk about branding yourself through the social media world and what that means. And of course, Margaret back here talking about kind of escalating interviews that maybe didn't even exist yet. Loving all of these subject matter experts and what they're bringing to the table. So with that, I'm gonna say, everybody, if you would like to find out more about our series, go to the hrinsidetrack.com where my blog will talk regularly about what we're doing and how we're doing it. You can also find us on Google Plus by looking under communities called the Competitive Edge series for HR and transition. So with that, I'm going to officially say goodbye to everybody. We're going to turn off the camera right now. Thank you for joining us.